Hi everyone, my name is Maria Darby. I'm a specialist in working with Telegram ads. So, today we're going to look at the specifics of working with the Ton cabinet in Telegram ads. I'll explain how to set up ads there and why we should choose the Ton cabinet for our work. I'll also talk about the specific nuances of working with this type of cabinet. I'll also touch a bit on the myths that are circulating around this cabinet, around the Euro-based cabinet. Why do we choose the Ton cabinet and why do we choose the Euro-based cabinet? I'll also talk about some specific cases of working with it. For example, my foreign colleagues prefer to work with the Euro-based cabinet at the start because they think that with this type of cabinet, you can show ads inside closed channels in a targeted way, meaning you can select channels and specify these closed channels in the targeting. That's not exactly how it works. When they realize that it doesn't work that way, of course, they start to get frustrated, but that's just the specifics of working with the Indian market, so to speak. So today I'll tell you how things really are in the Ton cabinet, how things are in the Euro cabinet, if we're talking about niches that aren't exactly, well, not exactly interesting for Telegram. I'll explain how advertising is launched there. So let's get started. So let's begin our discussion about the Ton cabinet in Telegram ads. As we can see, here we have limited functionality compared to the Euro cabinet. Here, targeting is only available by search, by bots, and by channels. Let's start with targeting by search, because overall it's the simplest option both for passing moderation and for launching, and in general, I always recommend going through moderation by search first. Here we can actually name the advertising campaign. You can name it whatever you like, since only you will see the name anyway. Here we specify what we are promoting. Please note that this should be a direct link to a channel, a post, or a bot. Why can't you use deep links? The answer, because that's what Pavel Durov decided. We use only direct links without UTM parameters, just plain direct links. It's the same for CPM. Here, just like with any other targeting, nothing has changed. There is a minimum CPM that we can set just to submit the advertising campaign for moderation. Here we specify how much total budget we are allocating. We can also specify how much daily budget should be spent. In other words, not what we should spend, but what Telegram ads should spend per day. Here we can specify how many times a single individual user will see our advertising campaign. For example, if we select 4, then this user will see our advertising campaign 4 times during the day. On the 5th time, they will no longer see it. Also, right here, the status indicates what status the advertising campaign will have after passing moderation. If we set it to active, this means that after passing moderation, the advertising campaign will launch immediately. If we set it to hold, this means it goes on hold, and we will need to manually launch the advertising campaign. Also, in fact, we can specify the time frame during which this advertising campaign should run. Here's some other information. Usually no one sets this. I also don't recommend setting it because it doesn't affect anything, it's not visible, and it doesn't get highlighted in any way. In such targeting, we specify which keywords we can target or display for. So there's nothing complicated here. Difficulties arise when working with channel targeting. With search targeting, there are no difficulties at all. Let's also talk about which geographies, which countries our advertising campaign will generally be shown in. The Telegram ads dashboard allows you to show ads in all geographies except Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and Palestine. But note that we can also show ads to users in Russia through the Telegram ads dashboard, specifically to those users who access Telegram via VPN. So, if a person accesses Telegram with a VPN, and that's everyone living in Russia, we can show ads to Russians through the dashboard. But as you may notice, there is no geo-targeting here. That is, we can't select the specific geos we want for displaying ads. So for example, if we need Germany, unfortunately, unlike the Euro dashboard, we can't specify that in the targeting here. But again, let's be honest. Even in the Euro dashboard, if we're working with a specific pure geo, for example, just Russia, this ad can still be shown not only to those who live in Russia, right? There are some nuances here. so no one is completely protected from anything. We do everything at our own risk. We'll talk about the Euro dashboard in another episode because that's a whole Malles on Ballet series that we definitely need to discuss, but we'll do that a bit later. For now, actually, the simplest option is with the TON dashboard, which is absolutely stripped down compared to the Euro dashboard, but still much better than the Euro one, in my opinion. With this kind of dashboard, you can run ads, channel targeting. Channel targeting, here everything is pretty much the same. The only thing that gets added for us, actually, everything here is completely different, unlike search. Here we can actually specify the ad text. A creative of up to 160 characters can be entered. We can promote, in fact, channels, posts, bots, and accounts. Unlike the Euro-based dashboard, we can't promote external links, but everything else we can. Also here we can specify an ad creative with an image or a video by uploading it. And actually our ad creative can contain both an image and text, or just an image. No, both image and text, text and video, just text or just text with a GIF. Basically any variety you want. With CPM it's the same. Here we set the minimum CPM to pass moderation, as well as minimum budgets. Here the minimum budget in the TON cabinet is always 1 ton everywhere. Accordingly, we specify it here. Here's something funny. TON kind of got renamed to grams, but here it stayed the same. Well, that's amusing. Alright then. We can also set any daily budget we want. Also here, we have statuses after passing moderation. There's nothing else new here. The only thing I'll note is that in promote, meaning what we're promoting, we can use deep links, we can use UTM invitation links, to channels. But here we can't promote private channels within the promotion of the actual URL of the channel. We can promote private channels through TMA links, through mini apps, which are allowed here. But here we have to use some tricks so that our TMA link, which leads to a private channel, can actually pass moderation. But I'll talk about that a bit later if none of the Telegram ads representatives give me hell for it. Also here, we can specify channels for targeting. Channels for targeting are collected very easily. We go to Telemetria or TGstat, enter the required geos that we need, and basically that's how we can specify channels here. But the only thing I would strongly recommend that without fail, after you have tested all the creatives, you should launch one ad campaign per channel, because in Telegram ads, there is budget click fraud. This is particularly apparent when focusing your efforts on specific channels. It's also very noticeable when targeting by search, but in that case, everyone has different goals. And click fraud on channels happens as follows. Here we specify some channel and send it for moderation. Once we pass moderation, the owner of that channel can artificially inflate the ad impressions on their own channel, thereby earning 50% through Telegram's affiliate program. Essentially, they receive 50% of our spent budget. Of course, he is happy and pleased about this. Therefore, in order to prevent someone else's happiness, we should in fact separate it as one advertising campaign per channel. We look not only at how many impressions there were, that is, not at the ratio of impressions to subscriptions or impressions to clicks, but we look at the ratio of clicks to subscriptions, because at the moment when the budget is being spent specifically in target channels, not so scrupulous channel administrators are inflating not only views, because they were inflating views a year and a half ago, but now they are also inflating impressions. Oh god, clicks too. After they start inflating clicks, not everyone of course realizes this, so some targeting specialists are like this. They look and think, oh well, there are impressions, there are clicks too, so everything is great. Nothing is great at all. We look specifically at how many subscriptions there were, because with this type of traffic, click fraud, there won't be any subscriptions yet. Maybe in the future, administrators will also inflate subscription numbers, but subscriptions are expensive and there's no point in faking them while clicks are cheap, so both views and clicks get inflated. Alright, I'm starting to get a bit worked up about this topic. Let's move on to click fraud in search. Unlike with target channels, in search, those who engage in click fraud have completely different goals. Let's imagine let's say we have a channel called, I don't know, online cinema, and we're ranked first in search for the keyword cinema. And then some boy or girl named Masha decides to take the top spot for the keyword cinema using ads. Will we like that? Well, of course not. Of course, we want to be number one because we've put a lot of effort into capturing that keyword and spent a lot of money, because to get to the top spot without the money we invest in Telegram ads, just by having a channel, developing it, and gaining a lot of subscribers is really hard. And among these subscribers, 50%, if not more, are those who have premium accounts. And so we spend a lot of money to meet all the criteria to take first place in order to get cheap, or rather not cheap, but actually free subscriptions through search. And then some clever boy or girl launches an ad and takes our spot, takes our place. So what's our reaction? Well, of course, the reaction is to boost the numbers. I don't know about you, but personally, my reaction would be, damn it, to boost it so hard that their entire budget gets drained and they get the hell out of here. And so these kinds of people, channel owners, actually inflate the views for a particular keyword, well, more precisely, the ad views. They spend money exclusively on getting views for that keyword. And really, that's the only thing they're risking. But the targeting specialist who launches ads by keyword is risking everything, because first of all, let's imagine we have an ad campaign with, say, 10 grand in it. So we start running ads for the cinema keyword, and the owner, our competitor, starts click fraud against us. It would take us about 10 minutes to stop the ad, but in those 10 minutes, our entire budget could be drained. That's why, to avoid this with such keywords, if we realize there's click fraud, but the keyword is strategically important to us because it's one of our target keywords, we never allocate more than 1 or 2 grand to such ad campaigns. Yes, there will be click fraud, but it won't happen 24/7. So we should never abandon such a keyword, but we need to approach launching this kind of ad wisely. Do you understand? Alright then, so as we have already discussed, I truly believe that for our session today, I have gone over this specific category of account quite extensively in a very thorough manner. I really hope there will be some questions. You can ask them in the comments, or of course send me a private message. In the next lesson, I'll talk a bit more about passing moderation in the Ton account and about how to set up ads in the Ton account for the niche we need. So, see you then.